Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and the Emir of the State of Kuwait.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you for all being here. It's my great honor to welcome His Highness the Emir of Kuwait to the White House. The United States and Kuwait share a strong and enduring partnership. We recently commenced the 27th day of remembrance of Saddam Hussein's invasion of Kuwait, which we all remember so well. The United States is proud to have contributed to the liberation of Kuwait and for the friendship we have built together in the years since. Today, we reaffirm our commitment to our shared security interests and recognize Kuwait's critical contributions to regional stability. We also thank Kuwait for its humanitarian leadership and for its partnership in the fight to destroy ISIS. During my trip to Saudi Arabia, I spoke to the leaders of more than 50 Arab and Muslim nations about the need to confront our shared enemies, murderous terror groups that threaten all civilized people. Every responsible nation must work together to strip these groups of their territory, their financing, and the false allure of their evil ideology. I applaud Kuwait for its role in this effort and encourage all nations in the region to do their fair share in defeating those who wage war on the innocent. Each nation in the region must decide what kind of future they want for their own children, one of violence or one of peace. That also means confronting those, such as the Iranian regime, who support terror groups and radical militias. Cooperation between America and Kuwait has never been stronger, never ever. The FBI and the Kuwaiti government are expanding our counterterrorism and intelligence sharing efforts. We're making progress on promoting Kuwaiti investments in the United States. They're making tremendous investments in our country. They have great confidence in our country. We're also entering a bilateral agreement with Kuwait regarding customs enforcement. During the same period and the same trip to Saudi Arabia, which was my great honor, representing our incredible country, His Highness personally asked me to expedite a $5 billion agreement for the sale of American F/A-18 Super Hornet fighting jets for Kuwait. I am pleased to report that the State Department has now authorized this transfer and purchase, which will not only strengthen our mutual security, but will greatly benefit American workers. Kuwaiti's investments in America through its sovereign wealth fund are profitable for Kuwaiti people, and they create many, many jobs in the American workforce. I am pleased to report this year that Kuwait has taken delivery of 10 American-made Boeing 777 airliners. They're beauties. American workers build the best planes in the world by far, and we want them to be made available for those countries that want them. And Kuwait has been a big buyer of commercial airliners made by Boeing and others. Our partnership extends beyond shared economic and security interests. We're signing a memorandum to deepen the close educational ties between our two countries, enhancing English language, and that's what we're going to be doing. We're enhancing the whole relationship through the use of the English language, and that is something that's very exciting, I think, for both of us. I want to thank His Highness for his leadership role and the role he's playing to help the nations of the Gulf Cooperation Council follow through on their pledges from all over, because we went to Saudi Arabia and the pledges of ending terrorist financing came from every country in that magnificent room on that magnificent day. And we are addressing the ongoing GCC dispute. And the Emir is leading those discussions, and hopefully it'll be resolved very soon. We call on our GCC and Egyptian allies to focus on our commitments at that Saudi Arabia summit, to continue our joint efforts to drive out and defeat terrorists. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Egypt are all essential U.S. partners in this effort. We have great relationships with all of them right now, maybe better than we've ever had. We will be most successful with a united GCC. Tomorrow, Secretary of State Tillerson and Foreign Minister al-Sabah will chair the second U.S.-Kuwaiti Strategic Dialogue. By strengthening communications with allies like Kuwait, we send a strong message to both terrorist organizations and regional aggressors that they cannot win. They will not win. They cannot win against us. Then our military is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And that those who cherish and value human life will always prevail. I want to thank His Highness for joining us here today. The United States values its close friendship with Kuwait and its people, and we look forward to strengthening these bonds even further. Together we will show the world that the forces of destruction and extremism are no match for the blessings of prosperity and peace. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
My dear President, Mr. President Donald Trump, Your Excellencies and Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted and my delegation to be here today in Washington, this great city, in response to the invitation that His Excellency, my friend, President Trump has extended to me. I would like at the outset to reaffirm and send once again our condolences to the President and the people, the American people, about the victims of Harvey hurricane that hit Texas. And we are deeply affected by the human losses and the huge destruction in public facilities and property. I pray to God Almighty that He would make this the coming hurricane that is about to hit Florida, for it to be a harbinger of goodness, not evil. I wish and hope that the losses would not be harmful to the American people and would not cause further sadness and grief for those who will fall victim to this hurricane. Once again, we reaffirm that we stand by our friends in the U.S. in fighting and confronting this issue. We have held deep and comprehensive discussions that reflect the depth of our bilateral and historic relationship and advanced relationships in all levels, at the political, economic, and military and security levels, in order to serve the mutual interests of our two countries and people. I here would like to commend the commitment that we have sensed here on the part of the U.S. about the security of the state of Kuwait. And within the framework of these relations, we remember with great gratitude the great role that the U.S. played when it assumed the leadership of the international coalition that liberated my country from the throes of the invading Iraqi forces and restored its freedom. And this memory will remain forever in the minds of the Kuwaiti people. We also highly value the strategic relations between our two countries. We have discussed the situation in the country, foremost among which is the unfortunate dispute between our brothers in the Gulf region and our efforts to contain it, and the international support that we have received for these efforts. We have also discussed our common efforts in cooperation with the international community in fighting terrorism and ending the sources of funding for it. And in this regard, I would like to commend the prominent role that the United States plays in combating terrorism, especially the recent victories against terrorism. And we have also discussed the situation in Iraq and the catastrophic situation in Syria and Yemen and Syria and Libya, and we affirmed the need to end the fighting there through dialogue between the various disputing parties, and we have affirmed the necessity of the Security Council to shoulder its responsibility in maintaining international peace and stability, which represents the because the continuation of those struggles continues to be a threat. With respect to the Palestinian question, we have praised the recent U.S. efforts to move the peaceful process, and we affirmed the need to join efforts in order to reach a comprehensive and lasting solution to this problem on the basis of a two-state solution and in accordance with the international legitimate resolutions and the Arab Peace Initiative. Once again, I thank His Excellency the President for his kind invitation to us and for his kind hospitality, and we look forward to meeting with His Excellency the President in the state of Kuwait within the framework of our efforts to further enhance our relations and build on our strategic relationship in the service of the interests of both countries and peoples. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, we'll take a couple of questions. Go ahead. Yeah. Actually, we'll go somebody else this time, John. You've been doing enough, John. Go ahead, John. CBS.
Major. There you go. Thanks. Mr. President, on the question of North Korea, the country feels that a crisis is coming. Some lawmakers, Lindsey Graham among them, have almost described the situation as inevitably leading to war. I don't want to ask you if you think it's inevitable. What I do want to ask you is, as President of the United States, would you tolerate a nuclearized North Korea that is contained and deterred, but still nuclear? Or would it have to abandon nuclear weapons, and would military action on the part of the United States be one of the options necessary to achieve that goal?
Military action would certainly be an option. Is it inevitable? Nothing's inevitable. It would be great if something else could be worked out. We would have to look at all of the details, all of the facts, but we've had presidents for 25 years now. They've been talking, and the day after an agreement is reached, new work begins in North Korea, continuation on nuclear. So I would prefer not going the route of the military, but it's something certainly that could happen. Our military has never been stronger. We are in a position now, and you know the new orders, you see the numbers just like I see the new numbers. It's been tens of billions of dollars more in investment, and each day new equipment is delivered, new and beautiful equipment, the best in the world, the best anywhere in the world, by far. Hopefully, we're not going to have to use it on North Korea. If we do use it on North Korea, it will be a very sad day for North Korea. Do you have a question for the Amir?
Follow-up, is it acceptable for you as president for North Korea to be nuclearized but contained and deterred? Is that a strategy
We're going to see what it is. I don't
would like to
negotiate
prefer?
with you. No, I'm not negotiating with you. Maybe we'll have a chance to negotiate with somebody else, but I don't put my negotiations on the table, unlike past administrations. I don't talk about them. But I can tell you that North Korea is behaving badly, and it's got to stop. Okay? A question for the Amir?
Your Excellency, you mentioned in a general sense the situation with Qatar. How optimistic are you about it being resolved, and what role would you like the President of the United States to play in achieving a resolution?
We still have hope that the dispute would be resolved between Qatar and its neighborly countries in the GCC, especially that our friends in the US and our other friends are assisting us in resolving this issue. I am optimistic that the solution will come in a very near future, God willing.
Question for the, yes, for the Amir first, yes.
My question is for you, Mr. President, first. Kuwait News Agency, Kuwait شروق صادقي. هل تؤيدون دور الوساط؟
Do you support the Kuwaiti mediation role between Qatar and the four countries, and do you support the holding of a conference that will include all parties in Kuwait? Thank you.
Well, I do appreciate and respect the mediation. I would be willing to be the mediator. I was telling the Amir before that if I can help between UAE and Saudi Arabia, where I have a very great relationship. I spoke with the king yesterday, King Solomon, who's a friend of mine, and we spoke on unrelated subjects, but we had a long conversation. If I can help mediate between Qatar and, in particular, the UAE and Saudi Arabia, I would be willing to do so. And I think you'd have a deal worked out very quickly. I think it's something that's going to get solved fairly easily. Kuwait has been really the leader of getting it solved, and we appreciate that very much. But I do believe that we'll solve it. If we don't solve it, I will be a mediator right here in the White House. We'll come together very quickly. I think we'll have something solved.
أحمد مكي
Ahmad Makki,
سيدي حضرة صاحب السمو الله ورعاكم هل تم التأكيد
Mr. Amir, in light of the regional conditions in the region, has there been an assertion on the role of the U.S. commitment to the security of the state of Kuwait? Thank you. Thank you. And you have heard now what His Excellency the President has said about the relations between Kuwait and the U.S. and its assertion of its commitment to the security of Kuwait. And this is not something new. And don't forget that the United States has managed with its other allies. When Kuwait was occupied, it liberated Kuwait from Iraq within a few months. And this is something that the Kuwaiti people remember very well, and everybody also. And we here thank the United States and the American people for that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nadia Bilbisi with Al Arabiya Television. You dispatches a team to Israel and Palestine, and you're about to meet the leaders of both countries in the UN soon. Do we expect a new American initiative to move the process forward? And if I may, sir, The UN had just published a report about Syria's Assad regime using chemical weapons. They said that basically he used it more than two dozen times. Does that mean that President Assad is immune now from any prosecution? And what can you do to stop the further use of chemical weapons? Thank you.
Well, first of all, the Palestinians and the Israelis, we are discussing, we are working. They say it is the world's most complex and difficult deal. You know that. But it is something that could happen. I believe that the relationships that we have with both can help. It's an event that's just never taken place. Sometimes people think they're close and it never happens, or it never happens successfully. I think we have a chance of doing it. I think the Palestinians would like to see it happen. I think the Israelis would like to see it happen. And usually when you have two groups that would like to see something happen, good things can happen. So I think there is a chance that there could be peace. But again, I say that a little bit reluctantly. We're going to give it our best. We have tremendous talent working on that particular transaction. As you know, David Friedman, the ambassador, is very much involved. We have a great group of people. We'll see what happens. As far as the chemical weapons, I find it hard to believe that after what we did the last time, that Assad would do that again. I haven't heard what you just said, but I find that a little bit difficult to believe. But nothing would change. We would be extremely upset if he was using chemical weapons. As far as Syria is concerned, we have very little to do with Syria other than killing ISIS. What we do is we kill ISIS. And we have succeeded in that respect. We have done better in 8 months of my presidency than the previous 8 years against ISIS. So ISIS is rapidly disappearing, as you know, and that's because of our great military. The military has been absolutely incredible in terms of what they've done with ISIS in Iraq and in Syria. Do you have a question for the Emir?
Yes, to the Emir, all the parties are holding on to their own positions with respect to Qatar. Where do you see a breakthrough in this dispute? Do you see any indications to make us believe that this crisis will come to an end? The hope has not ended yet. I would like to affirm that Qatar is ready to meet all the demands that were put, the 13 demands that were presented, and is ready to sit at the table to negotiate and to discuss with us all everything related to the dispute between the parties, the Gulf parties. As you know, we have 13 demands that were presented, and we know that not all of these 13 demands are acceptable. But if we were to sit down together and discuss these 13 demands, and we have indeed accepted them, and Qatar has accepted them, we would be able to resolve all 13 demands, all the issues and points that harm and relate to the dispute between the countries of the region, and anything that harms the interests of our other friends. Thank you.
This all began because of the fact that there has been massive funding of terrorism by certain countries. And what I want is stop the funding of terrorism. And we're going to stop the funding of terrorism. And if they don't stop the funding of terrorism, I don't want them to come together. But I think they will. Okay? You have a question? Your people have a question, yes? Go ahead, to the Emir.
سمو الأمير
Your Highness, I'm Said from Al Jazeera. Mr. President, we talk about Kuwaiti mediation and supporting Kuwaiti mediation. Are there tracks and a meeting that happened in Kuwait which receive U.S. and international support? Is there in reality something clear and a breakthrough that has been accomplished in this crisis? Are we about to see at the beginning of a breakthrough, or Your Highness, are the issues so complicated? We talked about a deep discussion about all the issues. What is the real issue and complicated issue at the heart of this dispute? We would like to find some information. Where is the problem here, so that we can solve it? Thank you. First of all, I would like to say there is no problem that cannot be resolved. True, it's complicated, but when we meet at around one table, and now we have an affirmation from the country to which some demands were presented by its brotherly nations in the Gulf region. When we hear that it's ready to discuss all these demands, we are not among those countries, but we are guarantors, and we can guarantee that we will pressure Qatar, because it's not in the interest of Qatar to remain outside the flock. Rather, it should join its brothers in the GCC. As you know, thank God, the wisdom of our brothers in the Gulf region, they should appreciate the situation we're in today, the situation in Syria, in Iraq, in Syria, and in Libya. Now is the time that we have to forget all these differences. It's true, we have we're descended into some not very healthy issues, and especially in the media. But in spite of all of that, we were one of the most people to be affected by this situation, by what our brothers in Qatar have done. But when that happened, and before this dispute came into existence, we met with our brothers in Qatar and put an end to this issue. And this is now a normal issue. We met in Riyadh in the presence of President Trump, and there was no one who to say that there was a dispute between us, but suddenly this dispute came into existence. Thank God now. What is important that we have stopped any military action. And these disputes, as I said, they are complicated, and we have seen the media campaign that is totally unacceptable to the people, because the media coming out of this country is against the people, not the rulers. And for that reasons, we have received from Qatar a letter in response to the letter I sent them, and they are willing to sit down at the table and discuss all these demands which the other parties have put down. And we're talking about 13 demands, and I'm certain that all these 13 demands, some of them, a great part of them will be resolved, and the other part, and perhaps we might not accept them, because anything that affects sovereignty, we would not accept. But we are very hopeful. We have great hope in our friends in the U.S. that they will assist them to restore things to where they used to be.
Well, that is a problem that we will get resolved, and I'm very, very honored and happy to know that you have problems with the media also. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
That was the press briefing from the press conference from the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and the Emir of Kuwait. We heard a bunch of different topics talked about, and this is the post-show. We're going to go over a bit what was talked about in the press conference. We'd love to hear about from you. What did you think about the press conference? Anything that particularly stood out to you? Anything you liked? Didn't like? Write to me on Twitter at Lookner. I'll read your comment on the air at LOOKNER. Something I noticed, I think maybe in terms of the American press, what they'll talk about, and something I thought was probably the most noteworthy was when President Trump talked about North Korea. He was asked about if it was acceptable, if a nuclear North Korea was really acceptable for us. And he started talking about the possibility of a military option to be used on North Korea. And he said, he basically said, I think he was asked about the military option too, and he said it was not off the table, it was definitely on the table. He said he would prefer not to use it. He hopes it didn't have to be used. But something he did say is he said something like, for 25 years, presidents have made agreements with North Korea, and then the next day, they just start continuing their program. That suggests to me that President Trump is not very confident that North Korea would stick to an agreement, a diplomatic agreement, even if we could reach one with them. That sounds pretty pessimistic, and if that's the case, you might think President Trump is not particularly optimistic about the prospect of an agreement working. So if that's really what President Trump thinks, that an agreement is not going to be reliable with them, then it seems like that would be a reason he would further consider the military option if he's really committed to them not becoming a state with tons of nuclear missiles with hydrogen bombs on them that could, annihilate various U.S. cities. So I thought that was very noteworthy when he said that about North Korea. But would like to hear what you have to say about this. Write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at LOOKNER. And real quick, also, if you like our coverage here at Right Side Broadcasting, we are viewer supported, for those of you who don't know. So if you'd like to keep our coverage on the air, we cover the Trump rallies, we cover all kinds of breaking news, we're covering the hurricane. You can donate at rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate, or you can click the $sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat room right next to the broadcast. Trump Jr. says the Amir needs a new translator. So that's one piece of feedback we have. Pope Robert E. Lee, the second says, Steve, that was a brutal ending to the presser. Wow. Now, I'm not sure quite what you're referring to. There was that thing where President Trump said to the Emir of Kuwait, I see you have problems with the media too. Is that what you're referring to there, maybe? Pope Robert E. Lee? I have some other notes about what the president talked about. He did offer to mediate. There's been this ongoing dispute between the country Qatar, the Gulf country Qatar, and several other countries in the Gulf, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, and I always forget one. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, and Bahrain. And they have said that they feel that Qatar is supporting terrorism too much, is too close to Iran. Also, supposedly, they have some objections to Al Jazeera, which is a broadcast channel funded by Qatar. So they have cut off transportation and trade with Qatar, and the Kuwait has been trying to mediate this issue and bring a resolution. But President Trump, interestingly, said that he offered to mediate the dispute, and he thought that if he could mediate and they would all get together with him, that he would be able to help bring it to a conclusion and to solve that dispute relatively quickly. So that I thought was interesting as well. What did you think, though? Write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Let me know. Colonel Ben Bannister writes, something many in the American media will miss. President Trump took the Emir's hand and helped him walk. A great sign of respect. Central Florida for Trump said the issue with North Korea is proliferation to non-state actors, which does not affect South Korea, but does affect us greatly. That's why Trump is not happy with South Korea. President Trump also talked a bit about some other topics. He mentioned that he was very happy about that Kuwait had ordered a bunch of 777s from Boeing. He said American workers make the best airplanes in the world. He also announced that the State Department had approved the sale of F-18 Super Hornet jets to Kuwait. What else did he talk about here that I have written down? He was asked about possible peace between Israelis and Palestinians. He didn't sound like overly optimistic. He said, we'll see what happens. He said it's something that could happen. But anyways, I would love to hear more of what from you guys. Is there anything you thought would be asked about that wasn't asked in the press conference? Write to me at Lookner, at Lookner. Let me know what you thought of it. I'll read your comment on the air. I'm surprised there wasn't a DACA question. This was more of a normal press conference. Today, there have been press conferences in the past where if it was today's press conference, they would have just asked like 3 DACA questions. So they didn't ask about DACA today, which I found interesting. They also didn't ask about the deal President Trump cut with the Democrats. So they really stuck to a lot more foreign policy questions today, the press, and not like domestic policy stuff that had nothing to do with the Emir of Kuwait. Andrew Silva says, that was great. The Emir of Kuwait laughed his butt off at the end. We got some questions about the hurricane coverage coming up. Let's see if I can find the question. Wheat Dog says, are you broadcasting live Saturday for the hurricane? Yeah, so we're going to cover the hurricane, the next few days and throughout the weekend. Definitely once we get to like Saturday and Sunday and it's closer to the U.S., we'll definitely be broadcasting live. Probably Monday and Tuesday too at some point because it'll still be, I think, over the U.S. at that point. We might even do broadcasts today and tomorrow and tonight and tomorrow night. If you want to know when we're doing hurricane coverage live, best thing to do is subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell when you do. That way you'll get a notification right when we come on the air live. Sometimes we can't tell when exactly we're going to come on the air, so it depends on when news happens. So subscribe to us on YouTube. And also, to follow what's going on with the right side, you can also follow us on Twitter at RSB Network, I am on Twitter at Lookner. So I post about breaking news a lot. So even when we're not on the air, I'll be posting about the hurricane and all other kinds of breaking news. And feel free, by the way, to like this video on YouTube and share it on Facebook. That really helps get the word out about Right Side. We're not a big company. We can't afford to advertise, so that really helps us get the word out about Right Side Broadcasting. For now, this is the post-show to the press conference we just saw with President Trump and the Emir of Kuwait. We're taking your comments and your questions live, so if you want to have your comment read on the air, write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Pope Robert E. Lee II says, was I dreaming? The American media gave Trump some respect during the press conference. It's an interesting comment, Pope Robert E. Lee. I certainly think they conducted themselves more as the press typically would during a press conference with a foreign leader, where they focused more on foreign policy questions and didn't focus on like domestic questions and contentious domestic issues and contentious questions about domestic issues that had like nothing to do with the person who was there as a guest. I want to also do a quick check while we're... Oh, was I there the whole time? I'm sorry. I think I might have been on my Twitter the whole time. I think I meant to be here the whole time. So I'm sorry. That was messed up. Anyways, I thought I was full screen. Maybe I wasn't. Well, now we're back. Now we're back to full screen where I should have been all along. I apologize if I wasn't for a while. So you probably could read everything I was looking at. Well, it's fine. It's my Twitter feed. Okay. I want to see, though, I was going to check and see if there were any updates news-wise while we were doing the presser, besides what was going on with the press conference. You know, the hurricane is very worrisome right now, Hurricane Irma, because a bunch of the new models have the hurricane basically giving a direct hit on Florida, and not even like going up the east of Florida, but more of a direct hit on Florida. So for example, here's another tweet I just saw. CNN Breaking News just sent out a tweet that said, one new hurricane predicting model shows Miami and the Florida Keys in Hurricane Irma's crosshairs. So I saw, I don't know if this is the same model, but somebody else, this is the ECMWF model. I saw another meteorologist talking about this earlier, but this model has the eye really like almost directly hitting Florida. Of Florida and the Keys. But this is worrying because, you know, there was this hope that maybe the eye will go off to the east and it'll kind of skirt Florida, but no direct hit, whereas this would be especially bad if it did something like this. I want to show you another tweet I saw on this, if I can call it up here. Here it is. So this is a post by Ryan Maui, and he says, European model wind gust swath covers Florida peninsula in hurricane force wind gusts. Irma continues up I-75 through Georgia. So this is possible, and this is a European model. I wonder if the ECWMF is the European model for the same thing. You'd think if you just Google it, you would get what it stands for. It doesn't. Let's try this. Nope. Not easy to figure out what ECWMF stands for. You'd think it would be, but it doesn't. European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast. That's what it stands for. So this is the European model. But this is the model that has that hurricane hitting, you know, right at basically the point of Florida. But another worrisome thing is that it has it traveling basically straight up Florida into Georgia. So that would be not good if that happens. Hopefully it doesn't. Oh, and this is happening. I see. We have the background. You know what happens? We have a green screen issue where whenever I show something with green on it, the green screen goes through. So I have to remember this, because when you're looking at that model, you're like, wait, why is the background showing through the model? So I'll try to get you maps that don't have green on them, and we will cover it for you. But again, subscribe to us on YouTube if you want to know when we're going live with coverage. But we're planning on probably being on the air all weekend with it, covering it. Let's see. Central Florida for Trump says, your screen oopses and your microphone mutes is why we love you. Well, we try to not do things wrong here, so we try to get it right as much as possible. Brian N says, I think Trump will find ways to draw money from oil-rich Kuwait. Nothing will be free anymore. Trump Jr. says, is the press actually accepting Trump as a president? Okay, we're going to stay on a few more minutes here, but if you have any comments, get them in soon. because I think in a few minutes we'll probably wrap up this stream, and we'll keep an eye on the news for the rest of the day. Maybe come on, talk about the hurricane. Maybe if there's other breaking news, we'll definitely come on. Another thing to keep in mind is a lot of experts think that North Korea might do a missile launch Saturday, North Korea time, because that's the anniversary of North Korea's founding, and that would probably happen either early Saturday morning here or Friday evening here. So we will come on the air and cover that if it happens. Nick 1011 just gave $2.22 and said, 222 is my lucky number, Steve, my daughter's B-Day. Thank you, Nick 1011. That is very nice of you. Your donations keep us on the air. So if you'd like to donate and help us keep covering the news for you, you can go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate, or just click on the $ in the YouTube chat room. Thanks again to the moderators for working so hard today. I noticed in the chat room, I saw a new thing I hadn't noticed before, where when certain people post things, it won't automatically post, and it'll, because I guess technically I'm a moderator too, although I let the I don't moderate. I let the moderators moderate. But there's like when certain posts happen, I guess if the algorithm thinks it might be an offensive post, it doesn't even post it, and then it says there were boxes that come up that say hide or post, and I had never seen that before. So I wonder if that's a new thing that they're doing in the, show or hide. So I just see one right here. Here's a message, and rather than posting the message, it says it's held for review, and there's two boxes, show or hide, and then the moderators can click on show or hide. So I think that's new, because I had never seen that before. Interesting. William Glass says, you're doing a great job. Donated $10. We'll donate more later when I have it. That's very nice of you, William. Thank you for donating. By the way, we certainly don't want you to donate money if you don't have a lot of money or have extra money. We only want you to donate if you can afford to donate. And even small donations really help us out. So we really appreciate that. And that's really kind of you. And also, if you want to help us also, another way to help is if you like our videos on YouTube and you share them on Facebook, that actually really helps us a lot. And it also really helps us if you just tell your friends about Right Side. That's, as I said before, we're not a big company. We don't have an advertising budget. So we use our donations just to stay on the air. So if you spreading the word about us really helps us a lot. Nancy Marie Matta says, has Trump tweeted his good luck and praise to you? No sarcasm, just light humor and praise from myself. Well, I will say this, the Trump campaign has been very nice to us about letting us cover the rallies. And if you watch the rallies, you know that we're treated very well, and they give us a great camera position, and they let us cover it. They give us a press pass, and they let us interview people there. And they're always very, very nice to us and very accommodating, all the people with the Trump campaign. So we really do appreciate, and we say this to them, and I'm always amazed how well they treat us, and they're really nice to us, and they let us bring that coverage to you. We couldn't do it without them. So we appreciate what they do for us. I heard, by the way, that, I don't know if it passed yet. I think the Harvey funding might have passed, but I heard that deal the president made with the Democrats yesterday for a budget resolution for 3 months and 3 months of raising the debt ceiling, they have enough votes to pass that now in Congress. That's what I heard. Okay, I think right now, well, hold on, I see a message here. Let me just make sure I got all your messages. Connor Wells said he heard of an explosion, one person injured on Oxford Street in London, but not believed to be terror related. We'll keep an eye out on that. Thank you. Okay, I think we're going to wrap up the stream now. So we will be on covering the hurricane in the next few days. Definitely be on by the weekend, but I'm guessing we'll be on sometime before then. So as I said before, if you want to know when we're coming on live to cover the hurricane, subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell to get notifications about that. Also, if there's more breaking news later today or tomorrow or whenever, we'll be on. If there's a North Korea missile launch, if anything else happens with DACA, who knows? Who knows what can happen? We'll be on the air come on the air for that too. You can also follow us on Twitter at RSB Network. And follow me on Twitter. I'm always posting about breaking news at Lookner, at Lookner. Thank you to everybody who watched today. Thank you to the moderators for moderating the chat. JC, Real Frank, who else was there today? I wasn't looking earlier exactly who was there, so I'm sure I'm missing some of them. But and thank you for everybody who wrote in messages and wrote in news updates and shared your comments that we could share on the air. Thank you to everybody who donated. I think I said that. Thank you to Joe and Jake for producing and doing a great job as usual. And I think that's going to wrap it up. If you want to, I'll mention one more time again. We are viewer supported, so if you want to keep us on the air, if you like our coverage, please consider donating. rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And if you want free right side stuff like this right side mug, you can read at rsbn.tv/donate about our Patreon page where we give you free stuff in exchange for setting up a monthly donation. Anyways, I think I got to all your messages that just came in. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. Nancy Marie Mattis says, thank you, Steve. I share your posts a number of times. Thank you, Nancy. That's very nice of you. We like if you spread the word about Right Side, that really helps us, tells new people about us. We love when you do that. So, but for now, this is Steve Lookner and Right Side Broadcasting. Everybody's saying thanks in the chat room. Thank you for saying thanks. We see Mark and Anon and JC and Truth and P-Cell and Win, Barbara, Light Switch, Diddy, some regulars and some new people, JRS, Hex. Who else is there saying thanks? I can't read everybody because that would take too long, but still read some of them now. Anyways, Guinevere's there. So thank you guys all for watching. We'll be back soon, with news, with hurricane coverage. Who knows when, but it'll be soon. So with the hurricane, we're keeping our eye on the hurricane, and as soon as we have footage to show you or breaking news on that, we'll come on the air and do coverage. But definitely by the weekend, we'll be on a lot with coverage. So that's it for now. Have a great rest of your day, and our thoughts are with everybody who's been affected by the hurricane so far, and we hope it makes some miraculous turn and doesn't hit a lot of the places we think it's going to hit, but our thoughts are with everybody preparing for that as well. So for now, this is Right Side Broadcasting. I'm Steve Lookner. Have a good day, and we'll see you soon.